Mrs. Rogers, you admit you had an affair, and it is possible that another man besides your husband fathered your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Rogers is here along with your mother-in-law seeking the results of a paternity test. Now, Mrs. Angela Rogers, you claim your son's wife cannot be trusted, and you want her to come clean about her real motives for being here. You believe the plaintiff is only after your son's military benefits.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mrs. Rogers, your husband appears to be caught in the middle of you two ladies. Now, why did you bring them to court?
Well, Your Honor, me and my husband, we had a rough patch in our relationship. He wasn't really showing me any affection. He never really paid any attention to me. We weren't really spending any time together. It was pretty much just like we were living in the same house. There was no love there. He wanted to go visit his parents, and they lived 300 miles away, and I did not want to go. I decided that I was going to go to a party with my friend. Well, I went, and we had a few drinks. There wasn't really anybody there that we knew, and I wandered off with the guy, and she wandered off with the guy, and I remember we slept together, and I remember falling asleep, and...
Well, Your Honor...
Yes, ma'am.
You know, he come to visit me because he come for a funeral. She could have come. Her reason for not coming is because we don't like her.
Well, Your
But
Honor,
does she think going out and sleeping with somebody while he's at a funeral is going to make me like her?
Right, so
I mean...
how do you end up sleeping with somebody else during the funeral?
I'm not a very well drinker.
Okay, okay, let's go back. She has a baby. Okay, she gets pregnant. She has a baby. She makes him sign this birth certificate even though she don't even know if it's his or not.
I didn't make him do anything.
Mom, you have this birth certificate. This is your son's signature.
Mm-hmm.
Jerome, will you please hand that to me, please? So you had the baby, Ms. Rogers, and you weren't certain who the father was.
No, ma'am.
However, you had him sign the birth certificate, or you asked him to.
He signed the birth certificate on his own
You
free
did
will.
it voluntarily, Mr. Rogers?
Yes, ma'am. I did it mostly voluntarily, and at that time I believed, I just wanted to believe
I don't know if
that he
there's
was mine.
something called mostly voluntary. It's either voluntarily.
I'd say it was voluntarily. I mean, there was some coaxing, but that didn't influence my decision.
Did you
at
know
all.
at the time you signed the birth certificate about the guy at the party?
Yes.
All right. So did you question whether Coda was your son?
I did.
If he signs
So
it,
you
then
weren't sure
they
if
weren't
Coda
even
was
married.
your son, but you still signed the birth certificate?
Yes. I wanted us to be a family. I wanted us to get along. I wanted everything to be okay, the perfect little marriage and perfect little family. But, now that everything's going on at the military, I need to know if he's really my son. I need to know if I've got something to, look forward to, something to fight for.
Take me to the day that she told you that you may not be the father.
Well, it's how it really all started is when she came out and said it, it just kind of rocked my entire world. Like, I didn't really know what to think. I walked out. I stayed gone for a little bit. I came back because I love her, because I wanted to be with her. Right then there was no evidence that he was mine or wasn't mine or anything. Now, he's older. He's over a year old now. And we can't go to friends. We can't go to family without them saying, oh, he looks just like her. He looks just like her. He looks like her dad. Nobody asks if I'm the father. They say, who's the father? I can be standing right next to him and somebody say, is he the dad? Who's the dad? They don't see the resemblance even though we're right there
So
next
you're
to each other.
saying people never see a resemblance. Do you see yourself in Coda? Do you feel like?
I do see myself. I feel like he is mine.
How
Oh,
I don't know
about
if it's
you, Mom?
because I've been with him so long, but I feel like he is mine.
I want him to be his. More than anything, I want him to be his. I'm going to be devastated if it's not his. Because, he's a year old. You grow to love this little boy. And even if he's not his, I'm still going to love this baby. Because he's my grandbaby, regardless.
Ms. Rogers, I see you're very emotional. You say this situation is destroying your relationship with your husband.
It is, Your Honor. I just feel like I want everything to be normal. I don't want to fight. I just want everything to be happy.
Mr. Rogers, you've enlisted and you are about to,
In January,
in January.
I'm going to boot camp in January, and shortly after I'll be deploying.
So you are enlisted in the military and will be deployed.
Yes, ma'am.
And let me first say we appreciate your service.
Thank you.
And let me further say, I understand now why you're saying when you go, you're feeling very overwhelmed about what you'll be leaving behind. The uncertainty, not knowing if Coda is your child biologically, but also leaving behind your mother and your wife who can't seem to say 2 words to one another without it going to level 10.
Exactly. I want to know before I leave. I mean, I'm afraid of what's going to happen with me being gone. If she couldn't feel my love for while I was gone at a funeral, how is she not going to be able to cope without me there for a year? How am I going to be gone for a year and something maybe happen to me and then her be able to have a relationship with my family so that my son, yes, I'm going to call him my son because I want him to be my son. How is he going to see his grandparents? How is he going to see my brothers and the rest of my family if I'm gone? If something happens to me, I want to know that she is going to let them see him and that it's not just going to be her family.
When it comes to the paternity of 1-year-old Coda Rogers, Mr. Rogers, you are his father.
Thank God. I'm happy here. Now I know I got something to fight for. I know he's mine. That's all that matters. I've got him.
Yes,
And I'm going to do everything in my power to give him the best life I can.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I doubted you.
I'm sorry for everything I did. I do love you. I want y'all to work things out and be a happy family.
Mr. Angelari, you claim the defendant, Ms. Vargas, was married and having an affair with you when she got pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct.
Now, you say she initially told you that you were not the father of her 11-month-old son, but then dropped the bomb that the child was indeed yours.
That is correct, Your Honor.
After her marriage was over.
That is correct.
Ms. Vargas, you admit that you lied to Mr. Angelari because you say you were trying to save your marriage.
Yes, Your Honor.
But now that your marriage is over, you claim you are convinced he is the father of your son, and you're here to prove it today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Angelari, how did you end up in a relationship with a married woman?
Well, first of all, Your Honor, Miss Vargas and I, we were never in a relationship.
Okay.
We worked together. We were good friends. She would come to me to confide with me over her rocky relationship that she had with her husband.
Right.
That's what happened at first. Then, a few weeks later, she came in, said it's the last straw. I'm completely done with them. Then, next thing you know, we became better friends. She had brought her kids over a few times. We'd go out at night.
Uh-huh.
We started drinking a lot together. One night, we ended up back at my place. We'd been at the club. We got turned up. We were out there doing our thing. We went to the house, started doing our thing.
Our thing.
Yeah.
People are saying to you, oh, he's looking at you. This is making you feel uncomfortable, or you just feel like the guy
I'm like,
thinks
man,
you're beautiful?
Well, you looking back? You looking back?
Yeah, because they would tell me you're staring at me again. They
You look
would
back
say-
and smile, though.
Okay,
You look
so,
back and smile and give me the googly eyes.
I knew I had you, that's why.
Huh? Hey, it is what it is.
hold on. So at this point, you're married, Ms. Vargas.
Your Honor, at the time we were separated.
So you two were intimate,
Yes, just once.
and then you found out you were pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you also intimate with your husband at the time?
Yes, Your Honor. A month before me and him had sexual intercourse, me and my husband were still.
So within a 30-day or less time period, you had been intimate with your husband and also Mr. Angelari.
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
She told me it was
and-
over between her and her husband, Your Honor.
And it
Okay, well,
was.
she just told the court that she was separated. I try to tell people all the time that you're married until you're divorced. But look, that relationship, that's for them to handle. I'm trying to understand during the period of time this child could have been conceived, how many possible fathers are there?
There's only him and my ex.
And your ex.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes, Your Honor.
do you immediately think it was your ex's, or do you think it was Mr. Angelari's, or are you just clueless?
I wanted it to be.
She told me the baby was mine, and the next thing you know, she's telling me it's her husband.
I wanted to work things out with my husband, Your Honor. I wanted to do
You
it
got to
for
face
him.
reality.
So when you first found out you were pregnant, Ms. Vargas, did you call Mr. Angelari and say this child is yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you told him it was his.
I first did.
Then you decided I want to try to work this out with my husband. So you tell your husband that it's his.
There could be a chance that it was his.
Another lie. She's telling me I'm the dad. Then I end up getting a job up north. She told me, well, I want to try to work things out with my husband. I don't want him to try to get me for adultery or have anything happen with my children. I said, well, I can respect that. Do your thing. I moved up to Austin. She still lived down in Temple. I was 45 minutes away. I didn't talk to her. One of my friends that lived down in the same area told me, oh, she's getting big. She's ready to pop. So then come September, my conscience is really wearing on me like, well, is she going to tell me? Is she going to let me know something? No, I didn't hear nothing. I moved to Washington. She contacts me on Facebook when the child's 6.5 months old.
Okay.
That's when I
Tells
felt,
me, hey,
yeah, he looked
my
like
husband
him.
left. I don't have no more money. You got a kid here now.
Really? No more money?
Do you feel like the only reason she's coming back to you now is because it didn't work out with her husband?
I believe if her and her husband were still married, everything was still going well with them, I would never even hear about this. But I also see where she's coming from because she wants her son to have a father. And if he is my son, I want to be his father. I want to be involved in his life.
And I want you to be involved.
As it pertains to 11-month-old Giovanni Vargas, Mr. Angelari, you are the father.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's all I've wanted. Like you said, everybody makes mistakes, but it's all about how you come out of it. And today, he now has a mom and a dad.
Absolutely. And he deserves it.
Oh,
wanna
yes,
hold
he
him.
does. He's a great
You want to
little
hold
guy.
him?
That's my son.
Yes, it is. Would you like to meet him in my chambers?
Yes, Your Honor.
That would be wonderful. Ms. Bargey, you and I spoke briefly in my chambers.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you cheated on your husband, and now you are caught in a paternity triangle, with both men believing they fathered your 2-month-old daughter, McKenna.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are hoping today's DNA results prove that your husband is her father so you can save your marriage. Is this correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Bargey,
Yes, sir.
you have fallen in love with McKenna and you're desperately hoping she is your biological daughter. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Your Honor.
Are you both ready to face the man with whom she had the affair?
Yes, Your
Yes,
Honor.
Your Honor.
Ms. Bargey, can you explain to the court how we got here?
I was having issues with my husband when I had came back. We had been together for about a month, and we ended up having intimate time. And then a few weeks later, me and Mr. Lawson reincarnated, and we got back together. And,
You reincarnated?
well, I'm trying to put it into words. We got back together because we have been together on and off for 5 years.
Oh, you reconnected.
Yes.
Okay, and you started having sex as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's where we are now, because the conception dates, I was given 3 different conception dates and 3 different due dates. So everything kind of just, the timelines don't add up with everything, and that's what we're here for, is to find out the truth.
Ah. So take me to the day you found out you were pregnant.
The day that I found out was the end of April. It was April the 27th. The whole month of April I was getting sick, and I took a pregnancy test, and then it came back that I was pregnant.
Who did you tell first?
I told my mother first, and me and Calvin had been living together. And when
Oh, Mr. Lawson?
yes,
So when you broke up with your husband after you had the affair, you started living with Mr. Lawson?
we ended up getting a place together right after me and my husband split up.
Ah. me about the time when you actually got up the courage to tell your husband that you were pregnant and McKenna could be his child.
I did not tell my husband, period. He had a mutual friend that was on my Facebook, and they had actually sent him a picture of me posting an ultrasound, and then he started contacting me, and then finally I had to sit down with him and talk to him and tell him, okay, well, you know, I am pregnant. And then we started talking about the dates and everything, and even Mr. Bargey had stated that he could be the father as well because of the dates.
So it was you, Mr. Bargey, who said, listen, if this story is true, these dates add up to me being McKenna's biological father.
Yes, because there was multiple times that we slept together.
So you, well, wait, I thought you were living with Mr. Lawson.
Yes.
But you were cheating on Mr. Lawson with your husband?
We had slept together one time, and that was due to the fact that he had spoken to one of my friends, and they had talked about actually being together. It was, my friend was one of his exes. His ex actually messaged me and was showing me messages that him and her were sleeping together when me and him.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
So you cheated on your husband with Mr. Lawson, decided to go get a house with Mr. Lawson to only find out that he was cheating on you. She told you that he was still sleeping with her, so you went back and started sleeping with your husband.
Yes.
Your Honor.
Now that's a mess if I've ever heard one. In the case of Bargey versus Lawson, pertaining to whether Mr. Bargey or Mr. Lawson is the father of 2-month-old McKenna Bargey, it has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Lawson. You are McKenna's biological father, Mr. Lawson.
That's okay. I'm still gonna raise her.
Do you want to be in her life?
Yes, Your Honor.
You do. Fact that he wants to be a part of her life, you guys got to figure this out.
But I won't.
How, Mr. Bargey, okay. We all know where you stand. Unfortunately, you can't out-talk this DNA. You can't. We know how you feel, but it just didn't go that way. It just didn't. We deal in reality in this courtroom. What is the reality of the situation? So wouldn't it be better if from the beginning she had the love of both men? Why not? She deserves it. So you got to start from ground zero and work your way through the issues. This is complicated, but we made our bed, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we got to figure this out.